from the studio throwing out one director after the next, to the main star turning from an on-screen superhero to a real-life supervillain. The upcoming Flash film has had to deal with a whole bunch of controversies. Let's start from the very beginning in 2014. Numerous attempts to create a Flash movie were made over the years, but it wasn't until the success of Superman's Man of Steel that Warner Brothers made significant progress. In 2014, the studio announced a slate of DC films, including The Flash, with Ezra Miller cast as the lead and a release date set for March 23, 2018. Oh boy, weren't they optimistic? Interestingly, the announcement came just a week before the Flash TV series premiered, and can you believe it? The CW's The Flash has now run 9 seasons and is even ending before Miller's movie hits theaters, so you can guess that things didn't go according to plan. A year after the announcement, the cracks started showing. To make up for them, Warner Brothers hired author Seth Grahame-Smith to direct the show in 2015, despite the fact that he had no previous experience as a director. I guess desperate times call for desperate measures. Grahame-Smith was known for his writing on books like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. But unfortunately, his time as director of The Flash was also short-lived and the project ultimately didn't work out. But even then, DC was fairly confident. In fact, they even moved up its release date, with the new one being March 16, 2018. This was a pretty bold move, considering the previous director had left the project due to creative differences. I'll leave it up to you to decide whatever that meant. Rick Famuyiwa was hired as the new director, even appearing at Comic-Con to promote the movie. But he also left the project due to those same creative differences. And just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, Warner Brothers hired Joby Harold to rewrite the script. Plus, the release date was given to the Tomb Raider reboot. And how long did the project sit on the shelf? 3 whole years. I guess The Flash isn't so speedy after all, is he? This movie has had to deal with the added difficulty of negative fan criticism from previous DC films like Suicide Squad and Dawn of Justice. This criticism has been hanging over The Flash like a dark cloud, making it even more challenging for the film to be well received. And this was when they decided to change the film altogether. Warner Brothers aimed to now base the Flash movie on a comic book story called Flashpoint. As part of their search for a new director, they announced this decision to the public. They announced it at San Diego Comic-Con, along with a bunch of other upcoming movies that included Shazam, Suicide Squad 2, The Batman, and more. Anyway, Flashpoint is a comic book story where the main character, Barry, goes back in time to save his mom from being murdered, but ends up messing everything up in the present time. And this presented a perfect opportunity for Warner Brothers to hit the reset button on their superhero universe, just like DC did in the comics. But as you can imagine, things didn't go quite as planned, and there were still more challenges to come before we could actually see any of this on the big screen. And the first step was to find a director, or should I say another director. This time, they hired John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein. The plan was to start filming in the following year, but things didn't quite work out as planned. Unfortunately, one of the original directors, Miller, had other commitments to the Fantastic Beasts movie series.
Idea of the way gender and sexuality works, and I think we've created this really superfluous sort of like binary in the way we think about gender, and
which resulted in yet another delay in The Flash. It seems that the film's journey to the big screen was getting more complicated with every passing day, and things only got worse from here. In 2019, it was reported that Miller wasn't satisfied with the direction Daly and Goldstein were taking the movie's tone, so he decided to team up with Grant Morrison to create their own version of the movie, but the studio rejected it. Meanwhile, Daly and Goldstein left the project, adding to the long list of directors who had departed earlier. Birds of Prey writer Christina Hodson was roped in to develop the script. Then you had Andy Muschietti, the 4th director, to join the project. With his successful adaptation of the IT, he was deemed capable of reviving the project. The release date was delayed to July 1st, 2022. But everyone knows how that went, because in 2020, COVID hit and changed everything. Obviously, the pandemic added tons and tons of delays in the production pipeline of, well, everything. But that's not even the only obstacle the film had to face. In April 2020, a video surfaced online showing Miller allegedly choking a woman in Iceland, but apparently it was all just a big joke, and they took it way too seriously. This opened a whole new can of worms for the film. Despite all the troubles that were to come, 2021 actually opened with a bit of hope.
Do you?
And we're all jealous of you, but happy for you as well.
But here's what I realized is that anyone could just choose to read comic books all the time, and when people were like, what about literature? You'd be like, whatever, man.
It gifted us with a glimpse of the upcoming Flash movie in the form of a teaser. It was revealed by none other than the almighty Warner Brothers at their grand DC fandom event. I mean, talk about a monumental moment in the history of superhero movies. And as expected, the teaser was jam-packed with Ezra Miller as the Flash. But that's not all. Fans were also graced with Michael Keaton's return as the Dark Knight. It was a welcome return, but I guess the fans were just looking for some new characters to spice things up. And let's not forget Sasha Calle's introduction as Supergirl, which I'm sure will be an absolute game changer for the movie. At least I hope so. But hey, what really stole the show was Keaton's brief appearance. Because if there's one thing that can make a trailer worth watching, it's a punch of nostalgia. If you ask me, things were actually looking up. But little did DC know their main actor was about to become a villain in real life. In 2022, Ezra Miller found himself in a string of legal troubles and public controversy. In January, Miller posted a now-deleted Instagram video that appeared to threaten Ku Klux Klan members in North Carolina. In March, Ezra was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and harassment in Hawaii after causing a scene at a karaoke bar. The following month, they were hit with a temporary restraining order from 2 Hilo residents for charges of harassment. Additionally, Miller was arrested in April for second-degree assault after throwing a chair at a woman's forehead, resulting in a half-inch cut. Ezra pleaded no contest to the disorderly conduct charge and was found $500, while the assault charge is still ongoing. The incidents created a public controversy and led to Ezra being criticized by many. Overall, 2022 was a difficult year for Miller, as they faced multiple legal issues and a significant public backlash. As you'd expect, this affected the film too. Now that's some serious bad luck. But Miller wasn't done just yet. In early 2023, Ezra faced more drama when they pleaded guilty to misdemeanor unlawful trespassing in Vermont. However, there was a silver lining in the form of James Gunn's announcement on January 31st, 2023. During a presentation, Gunn revealed his plans for the DCU. He also described Andy Muschietti's take on The Flash as one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. The Flash movie will use Flashpoint as a new launchpad. Plus, it will be crucial to the unified approach that the studio has decided to take moving forward. This means that Miller will probably continue in the role of Barry Allen for many years to come, and maybe fans of the DCU can look forward to an exciting future for the franchise. That's all for the delays and controversies faced by the Flash movie.